Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I have another horror-themed documentary for you today. It's called Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, the Robert Englund story. Now, of course, Robert Englund is the man who's very well known for playing Freddy Krueger for movie after movie for ages back in the 80s and 90s. And even now, that is his legacy, is that he is Freddy Krueger. And let me tell you, this 2-hour and 14-minute long documentary was fascinating. I learned so much about this man. And this documentary is a little bit different than what I expected it to be. Christopher Griffiths, who also helped direct the RoboCop documentary, the Fright Night documentary, and the recent one I reviewed, Pennywise, The Story of It documentary, which was a really great film. I haven't seen the other two that I just mentioned, but he comes in with another man, Gary Smart, who happens to be a guy who worked on those previous films a little bit too. And they made a really great documentary here, with a great poster, might I add, about Mr. Robert Englund, who I haven't seen much out of, aside from his Freddy Krueger work, maybe a cameo here and there, and then Zombie Strippers, and that's about it, back when I was a kid on the Sci-Fi Channel. This documentary apparently came out in 2022, or was made in 2022, but I swear I don't think it had a release until last year in 2023. I heard about it because of Christian Hanna Horror, who is a great YouTube channel. I love him deeply. If you haven't seen his videos, go check that man out. He deserves so many more views. Christian Hanna Horror is great. He recommended this, and I really loved it, and I thought it was great. I think it was on Tubi as well. And I would buy this for my physical media collection, just like I would buy a lot of those other documentaries these guys have worked on because of how good it was. I learned so much about not only Hollywood, but Mr. Robert Englund, who is the subject of this little documentary. And it was kind of a weird way to approach a documentary. It wasn't like his life story beginning to end. It kind of covered in like 2 minutes, like the beginning of his life, where he was born, his parents, whatever. And then it really went into his career. Did you know his first ever performance was in like a small little movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger in his first ever movie too? How weird was that? His first movie is with Schwarzenegger. They're both not even known yet. They probably both never thought they would have went the ways they went. It was pretty awesome. So there's a lot of little factoids like that this movie really delves into, and a lot of stars that Robert Englund, I would totally, by the stories he gave and by the stories that were backed up in this documentary, I would give credit that he found a lot of people and a lot of stars that you know, like Brad Pitt and whatever, and really popularized their names based on his recommendations. Robert Englund was like a classic, theatrically trained actor. Kind of like in the vein of somebody like Christopher Lee, and I love that about him. I think that's pretty cool about him. I wish Robert Englund had gotten more of a career outside of Freddy Krueger, because I do think he's a good actor, but I don't think he has as much range as a lot of people want, despite what they say in this documentary. I love Robert. He seems like a great man, and the fact that so many people in Hollywood, in this day and age, with all the sick shit we're finding out about Hollywood, with all of the amazing people from Freddy movies all the way over to just horror in general, like Eli Roth, have come into this thing talking about him and talking about how great and how kind and how sweet this man is. I believe them, and I believe that Robert is genuine and is a humble man based on what I see here. I loved this. If you are a big fan of Freddy Krueger, or specifically Robert Englund himself, and you want to know more about this awesome little man, that seemed like a little condescending. If you love this man in general, I recommend watching this documentary. Again, it's on Tubi, I believe, still, and I think it's worth every second you spend watching it. I learned so much, not only about Hollywood throughout the years, but about behind-the-scenes stuff with the Nightmare on Elm Street films, which are tied with Saw as my personal favorite horror film franchise of all time. I love Freddy films in general. But I just really, really appreciated this. I thought it was a blast. I thought it had so much going for it. It's well made, it's well edited, the interviews are great, and let me name you off a lot of other people who show up in this little documentary. I think it's worth your time. You may be surprised. Eli Roth, like I said, Lance Henriksen comes into here, as old as he is, Heather Langenkamp, Amanda Weiss, Miko Hughes, of course the little boy from New Nightmare, Monica Keena, Tony Todd, Lynn Shay, Tammy Lauren, Andrew Divoff, Dennis Christopher, Bill Moseley, Kane Hodder, Mick Garris, Adam Green. I need to like him on IMDb. I love that guy. Just a bunch of people, dude. There's so many people that you probably know that are in here for maybe 2 seconds sometimes, but they have a lot of documentary info to say that I thought were really, really good. Anyway, at the end of the day, Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares, the story of Robert Englund, is definitely a big recommendation for me. Almost 2.5 hours long, but it's totally worth every second. The pacing is wonderful, and it makes me appreciate documentaries even more, especially when it's a subject like the horror movies that I grew up on and that I've always loved. This is a great example of a documentary that seems true to life and is not full of bullshit. With all the people here talking about how much they love Mr. Englund, I believe them, and I believe that he is a good guy from what I've seen here. For all the, again, horrifying stories you hear about people that you love in Hollywood, it's kind of ruined movies, it's kind of ruined a lot of things for me. But Englund, no. It seems like a lot of people really love and respect that man, which I'm glad. Anyway, have you seen this documentary? What do you think about it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments about it down below, and about my review down below too. If I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I would probably give this a really high 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it had so much to offer as a documentary. Definitely a great, well-made little movie that I enjoyed tremendously. So, being a big Robert Englund fan, even though I'm mainly a Freddy fan in his work, I learned so much about his career and about Hollywood over the years, and that was great. That was really, really what I wanted out of it. Definitely a big recommendation on that alone. Anyway, have you seen it? What do you think about it? Thank you all for watching, guys. 4 out of 5 stars once again. God bless you all, and goodbye.